Welcome, everybody. We got a nice crowd here today.
Okay. Apparently not. Windows?
Tommy will not be with us today, and we heard Mr. Riddick won't be with us either, so I think we got everybody. So why don't we begin? And first of all, I'll toss it to the manager, see if you want to say anything. So welcome back, everybody, by the way, after all this time.
So thank you, Mayor and members of council. As you recall, from time to time, we try to get out of City Hall to visit some of the different venues in the city, and we've been waiting a while to, or you've been waiting a while to be here to have a presentation from Nautica. So Stephen Kirkland, Mayor, will handle the administrative piece, and we have Captain Cofer that will also speak. So Mayor, that's what we have in terms of the first part of the meeting.
Okay, Marcus, thank you. So before we get to the presentation, though, from our friends here at Nauticus, let's see if there are any council interests. Anything not right now? Okay. Mr. Nguyen?
I'm okay.
Okay. Dr. Whibley?
I actually had a couple of things. Over a year ago, we started the Animal Advisory Committee, and a number of months ago, they presented some requests or some ideas that they had for perhaps changing the ways that the city works with animals. I think we need an update on that from the administration on what we're proposing. We've got a group of on that committee that have worked hard, and I think they deserve a response to those, as does the council. So I would like to have that.
Sure.
Secondly, a number of our task force are interested, thankfully, in beautifying their neighborhoods. We've had it on 21st Street. We have it obviously downtown. I have it from Riverview, all talking about planters, all talking about median strips. We have them at Ward's Corner. There doesn't seem to be any continuity on what the city will provide. 35th Street's another of the neighborhoods that's asking for this. I'd really like to see us come up as an administration that would codify what the city would provide as far as, let's say, planters, benches, medians, so it would make it easier. Bike racks is another one. Downtown, is Ron here? Yeah, Ron, you know how we're working on bike racks downtown? Well, Riverview wants bike racks. Collie, I think, is into that, and I know other neighborhoods that are not in my ward are equally interested in. I think it would really be helpful for all of us and the citizens to get a sense that what we're doing for one, we're doing for all. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit more, but I'd like to, I think Ron and Winter and our other assistant city managers would appreciate that too, because we're always getting these questions. Vanessa, I don't know if she's here, but we just had a big request from Riverview regarding this, and it'd be helpful for us to have that consistent. Thirdly, I mentioned to Paul earlier, but you know, we talk about this, talk about it always about getting together with the city, with the school system and the school board to have another meeting. I think would be worth our while to sit down and talk again with them. We had also maybe talked about even having a retreat. I hesitate to throw this out here in case you guys throw water bottles at me, but maybe we could even do it the afternoon after our retreat when we're all together anyway. But I'd appreciate us working on that now to try to get schedules together. And then lastly, we had to cancel the meeting with Old Dominion that we were going to have. Are we looking toward rescheduling that?
Yes, we tried to do it this week.
Okay.
So I've been speaking with Dr. Broderick and.
Because we've got this issue coming up from Larchmont Civic League about, and I would like for us to talk with Old Dominion before we as a council would, address that. Thank you.
I was at Old Dominion for the President's State of the University speech this morning, and you know, the discussion, I mean, part of the discussion was about the cooperation he's been receiving from the region and the city, and so I think we have, you know, a lot to talk about, but I think we've built a lot of goodwill over there as well. So, okay. Mamie?
Mine is one thing that Terry had mentioned in going around and just listening to the constituents. They're really interested in beautification for their communities, but they're not sure what they would need to pay for, as well as what we could possibly help them with, what the city has to offer. Many of them have already visited downtown Norfolk, as well as going around other communities to see what is being offered in their communities, and they just really want to sit down and talk with us. So I shared a couple of things with them, Marcus, as far as what I thought, but I really would like to maybe hear it from you, and so I can go out and promote it throughout the city as well. The other thing for me is listening to the number of car larcenies in the city, to know that they're brought about a group of teenagers, some of them as early as elementary school. And what is also happening is that some of them are trying to drive the cars, which means that that endangers you know, not only our residents, but to themselves, and they're ranging as early as 10 years old to 16, and I know that it is happening throughout the city. So those are a couple of my interests for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mamie. Angela?
The only thing I have is, Marcus, you know, I'm a stickler for customer service. That's just a big issue for me in terms of people that represent the city, that work for the city, ultimately represent the city when they're out in the community. And I'm glad the chief is here. I had not an unpleasant incident, not a completely unpleasant incident with an officer, and I won't throw him under the bus. But when officers are asking citizens to do something or not to do something, well, why do I have to do that? The response, because I said so, is not appropriate. And so when I was out at Park Place, I parked my car behind the showmobile, and I always go over to officers and say hello. And he says, "Ma'am, you have to move your car." And I says, "Okay, well, why? I'm not going to be here long. Why do I, you know, there's nothing there, whatever." He says, "Well, because I said so." And I said, "Well, that's not really a good answer." And he says, "Well, it's a fire lane, and, you know, we have to keep it busy." And I said, "Well, that's a better answer." And then I proceeded to tell him who I was. And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But when there are people who may not ever come to City Hall, who may not ever get to meet you, they may not ever get to meet me, our city employees are the face of the city. And so a simple, well, it is a fire lane, we have to keep it clear, blah, 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 that would have been more appropriate from the beginning than, and he was nice when he said it, but it just wasn't, you know, an appropriate response. So sometimes I think that our city employees just need to think, especially those who are in positions with some authority, that, ultimately I do have to move it because you told me to, Mr. Officer, but if you can make that a little bit more palatable, and I think that kind of goes a long way in terms of relationship building with officers and the community overall. We have real good officers, we really do, but I just think that we just have to be mindful of sometimes how we say things or what we say, because we are the face of the city. That's all I have.
I parked in the same spot, and the police officer moved me too, Angela, so it's not. But what I said is, "You got a better idea where I can park?" And he said, "Yeah, how about over there on that piece of grass?" And I said, "Okay," but he was, I know. But I was glad that we got a nice report from the head of the Civic League there about the police department today. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but Mr. Robinson wrote a very nice email talking. There were a number of police officers there playing basketball with the kids. I mean, working the group. It was a great a great turnout by the police department. And we went over to Roland Park, had a Civic League, and our firefighters were out there. I mean, it was really great to see so
At
many city,
Engelfest?
to see so many of our city employees working on a Sunday. You know, for the most part, the experience was very positive. So, okay. Before we get to the Half Moon, Breck, you have something, a piece of business you have to take care of?
Yes, sir. On July the 23rd, a committee of petitioners, representative of the Talbot Hall Foundation and others accompanied by their attorney, filed a petition with my office seeking to repeal ordinances 45, 596, 597, and 598 that were adopted June 24 relating to 600 Talbot Hall Road. And the petition consisted of 484 pages containing 6,165 signatures. And what Alan is handing out to you is a transmittal letter that in effect presents the petitions which are here in front of me. And that also details the verification process of the signatures conducted by the Registrar of Voters. And as you can see from the letter, the threshold number for valid signatures was 4,019. The registrar validated 4,190 signatures, and 1,975 were determined to be invalid. And in presenting this to you, I am fulfilling Section 36 of the Charter, which requires that this be done. I would also note, just as a note, that today I received a packet containing 88 forms from the law firm of Kaufman and Knowles and signed by persons wishing to remove their signatures from the petition. I had 5 others earlier, which amounts to 93, and I just put that out there as a notation to you that these have been received.
Can they do that, Brad? Can they wish to remove?
We have some time
I mean, I guess they
to
can't
talk
wish to
about
remove.
all of your options and the steps, so we could answer that question.
Okay. And what is the attachment?
That's a representative example of the petition itself.
So our only role here today, Mr. Attorney, is to receive these? Is that right?
That's right, and you're going to have an opportunity to discuss them and your options, and if you don't take any action by Monday, August the 25th, then it will go to the voters, but that you have more than a few decisions to make.
Can we talk about that in executive session?
Yes, you could do that.
Should we take a vote to receive and file this to put it on the record?
I don't think you need to take a vote that you've received it.
Okay. Mr. Kofer, and for this is now that portion for the Half Moon Nauticus USS Wisconsin update.
Great, thank you. Mr. Mayor and City Council members and Mr. Manager, we certainly, on behalf of our Board of Directors, we certainly appreciate everyone being here today. This is a very exciting time for us to be able to present Nauticus to you. I do want to point out we have one of our board members, Judy Barrett, who's actually one of the newest Norfolk citizens. She just moved into Norfolk, so that's a good thing. But we appreciate everyone being here. We're really excited you could be here. And our hope today is that you'll see how dynamic and diverse this campus is. We really want you to see that we can become one of Norfolk's greatest assets. A lot of you have probably driven down the waterside or looking out your office and you see people in the battleship this summer. What you may not have seen is the fact that last weekend we had 2 weddings right here in this facility. This weekend we've got 2 more weddings. We're hosting Noah's ship down here at the waterfront. We've got the Elizabeth River barge here this summer hosting kids in environmental camps. Over the last 2 days, we've been hosting the Navy Heritage Day, which is nearly 400 newly selected Chief Petty Officers, and they've been on board the Wisconsin learning about the heritage and the history of the Navy. We've got an active fall ahead, and for the first time, we're trying to create real excitement this winter. It's a slow period for everyone in Norfolk, and we're going to start a new tradition with a large-scale winter Christmas festival experience here at the Half Moon with the Charles Dickens theme, and our executive director will be talking about that shortly. But what I want you to know is our campus is alive, it's vibrant, but as a board, we're setting our sights on the future, and I just want you to know that we're totally engaged in that. We're concentrating on what this campus is going to look like over the next 20 years. We're evaluating how it should be structured, how we can grow, how we can compete, and continue to be a great asset to this city. I wanted to share with you just very quickly the strategic plan that we developed a few years ago and what we're working on so hard here. It's threefold. Through the battleship, we're telling the story of the U.S. Navy. We're also engaging visitors on the commerce of the seas. As many of you know, Norfolk, and I'm a maritime guy, Norfolk's becoming one of the most dominant ports on the East Coast, if not the world. And the third leg is the stewardship, the environmental side. It's critical that we have a healthy aquatic environment, and people care about that a great deal. So that's the story that we tell as visitors come here. But what I want to leave with you today is that we want to become more than that. We want to become Norfolk's community center, a place for all citizens to experience and become a part of. And what we did as a board this past year to begin accomplishing this goal is we started a sailing program. You've probably seen the boats out on the water. And the real goal of this program was to serve the underserved in our community. And that's what we want to continue expanding, those type of programs here at Nauticus. We're Nauticus. I call it the new Nauticus. We're striving to ensure that citizens of Norfolk recognize that this is their Nauticus. So with that, I want to introduce Stephen Kirkland, our Executive Director. I want to thank you on behalf of all the Board of Directors. We're very grateful you can be here. I hope you can catch the vision that we have. Stephen's going to discuss in a little more detail, but we're saving plenty of time for questions. But I also want to say, as he's coming up, I want to thank our city manager and mayor for the vision to hire Stephen as our Executive Director. He really is a man of vision, of unity, and you're going to see enthusiasm. He is a great person to lead this. Our board has great confidence in him. The staff here is terrific, and we're really moving ahead. So with that, Stephen Kirkland. Thank you. Okay, man.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all very much for being here. We really do appreciate it. This is an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what's going on down here, and it's an important year for us. This is actually, believe it or not, our 20th anniversary. So we've been celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. 20 years ago, this summer, Nauticus opened its doors, and a lot's happened since then. I mean, a lot's happened since then. 20 years ago, when we first opened, I doubt anyone was going to predict that the Battleship Wisconsin would be home ported at Nauticus. I doubt anyone was thinking that we might have cruise ships at this pier. I doubt that anyone was thinking that we'd have sailboats on the river serving our underserved population. Those are important things, and they've happened in a relatively short amount of time. And so what I want to do today is not only tell you a little bit about what we've done, certainly in the last year or so, but really more importantly, tell you about what we're doing for the future. Tell you about some of our plans, share with you where we're going. The title of this is Moving Forward. Our sights are firmly set on moving this organization forward, and we're doing it with enthusiasm and energy and excitement. And so I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about it today. The first thing that I think is important to let y'all know is that we do consider ourselves a campus. We consider ourselves a campus. This is about as dynamic and diverse of a place as you're going to find. And I'll give you one quick example. Last Wednesday, we had a leadership team meeting next door at Nauticus. And I was looking at the agenda preparing for this meeting. And on the agenda, we were talking about opening new space on the Battleship. We were talking about winding down our summer camp sailing program for kids. The agenda, we were also talking about our upcoming cruise ship season and some of the operational needs we needed to do to get ready for that. And we were also talking about a new exhibit component in Nauticus. That was just one meeting. It was just one meeting. And I would suggest that there's not a cruise terminal in the world that has that diverse of an agenda. There's not a museum in the world that's talking about all those kinds of things. And certainly, there's not a historic naval ship organization or sailing program that's talking about all those things in one meeting. And so we do consider ourselves a campus, but there's a lot happening right here. There's an awful lot happening. And the truth is, last year alone, we opened up 3 times more space on the Battleship Wisconsin. We started our sailing program, which I think by any measure has been successful. We, in terms of revenue, had one of our best years ever at Nauticus. And yet we struggled to get those messages out because of one short-term decision by a cruise line when Carnival said they were going to take a year off. And so going forward, what I hope you all will see is a very holistic, a very proud message, a very public message that we are a campus of activity and we're doing awfully good stuff down here. Going forward, I think you're going to see a public message from Nauticus that's more representative of that agenda that I was just talking about. So again, a lot going on right here on this site. This is our 20th anniversary year, and I'm proud to say back in June on a beautiful Saturday, we had over 6,000 people here to celebrate our birthday. 6,000 people. It was a free day. It was designed specifically to get this community re-engaged with Nauticus. They came on board the Battleship. They went into the museum. They had some great experience. We even got some of them out on the sailboats. And it was just a great day. And again, this was before the height of our tourism season. It was before schools had gotten out. So these really were local people coming back, reintroducing themselves to Nauticus. And that's really important to us. Truth is, most of these folks, a lot of these folks might not have been to see us in years. A lot of them might remember us from a school field trip years ago. And we wanted them to come back to see the new Nauticus and see some of the things that we were doing. We've had some signature events over the last few months that are pretty exciting. On Memorial Day weekend, we actually hosted the 50th anniversary of the classic surf film Endless Summer. It was cool. I mean, it was just really exciting. We had surfers here on board the Battleship, all staring at the river, trying to figure out when the waves were going to break. But it was a great signature event, and it was happening on board the Battleship. So we were introducing a new group, bringing them here and letting them see all we had to offer. We also hosted our first annual Frisky on the Whiskey event, which was a sort of a friend raiser for our sailing program. We wanted this community to know what we were doing with these sailboats, and we wanted them to know how important it was and the kids that we were reaching. We had about 500 people on that Battleship, a perfect night, a great band. We had 20 sponsors, and it could not have been better. And the beauty of that event for us internally was that it was a different group of people on the ship. It was sort of the young, up-and-coming young professionals that were engaging not only in Nauticus, but our mission with the sailing program. So very exciting stuff. In a couple of weeks, we're actually hosting the 10th Annual National Maritime Heritage Conference. That's going to be happening here. 300 to 400 folks from all over the country will be coming here. Clive Cussler will be here. He'll be the keynote speaker. That's going to be happening here as well. So unique events, unique experiences, and importantly, we're bringing people downtown to have these things. Hopefully afterwards they go and they shop on Granby Street and they eat in our restaurants, and maybe they're staying at the Marriott or wherever. That's important to us. Our sailing camp has been great. It's been a phenomenal success this summer, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. And lastly, our summer visitation has been really strong. Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, we'll have welcomed about 80,000 people to this campus. Memorial Day to Labor Day. Now, importantly, those are not just folks at the gate. That's not just people coming in, buying a ticket to Nauticus. And that's especially why I'm proud of that number. Those are folks coming here to have an event in the Half Moon. There are military ceremonies, over 600 military ceremonies a year, free on board the Battleship Wisconsin, and all sorts of different activity that we're bringing down here. Again, our goal is to be a real catalyst. But our summer visitation has been strong. And so what are we doing differently? What are we doing this year and in the past that maybe we haven't done in years past? Well, I think this picture probably answers that question for you. We are using our site and our resources to engage families. That's hugely important for us moving forward. So we're using that Battleship to engage families. And by the way, we're targeting the moms. Okay, we're targeting the moms. The Battleship Wisconsin will always be a treasure. There will always be people interested in its history and the men who served aboard her. There will always be people that are interested in those guns and that engine room. But we also want to make sure that we're opening up for the kids and the whole family to have different experiences. So we launched Spy Ship last summer. It was a huge success for us. We brought it back again this summer. I would argue that there's no other battleship in the world with a laser maze on board, but it's been a great success for us this summer. And again, we're appealing to those families. By the way, they're also learning a little bit about history. There's real history that we teach through this, and they're learning port from starboard and stem to stern and all of those sort of nautical terms. But we're doing it a little bit differently, and we're engaging them a little bit differently. Not only are we hosting events on board, like the Frisky on the Whiskey and other things, Endless Summer, but we are also opening up the Battleship Wisconsin for event rentals. So for the first time ever, you can actually, get married underneath the guns, which is terribly romantic. But you can have special events out there. And part of the reason we can do that for the first time, the ship's been here since 2000. Part of the reason that we can do that now is because of some of the infrastructure improvements that we've made. We actually have a head on board the battleship for the first time. So there's working restrooms on the ship, which is really important when you want to expand that product and you want to have events on board. So those are some of the things that we've done only in the last 6 months that are allowing us to grow this program. I'm really proud of our overnights. We have overnights on board the Battleship Wisconsin. This just started in April. It honestly just started in April. And so Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and other groups can come here. They can sleep in the same berths and the same beds that the sailors slept on. And they can have this really rich, wonderful experience on board the Battleship Wisconsin. Since April, we've had over 450 campers in that program. Over 450 kids. We have 300 booked through the end of this year. It is a successful program, and it's only going to grow. The more spaces we can open up, the more berths that become available, the more kids we can get on, and the more that they can learn and have a great experience. So oftentimes, if you're driving by and you think that the doors are locked and the lights are off, it's not necessarily the case. We've probably got a wedding in here. We've probably got an overnight on board the battleship. And we're doing all of those things to try to bring more traffic to downtown. And always our goal with that battleship is to open up more interior spaces. That's what people are really clamoring to see. They want to see that engine room. They want to get inside a turret. They really want to see that ship. And if I might, we're going to spend just another minute on the Battleship Wisconsin. There was a Chicago architect, an urban designer, who once famously said, "Make no small plans. They have no magic to stir men's souls." And I think that's perfectly appropriate for what we're doing at Nauticus, and certainly when it comes to that battleship. I mean, we're looking at an icon of the United States Navy. That vessel right there is the last ship built by the last battleship built by the Navy. It fired on Iwo Jima. It fired on Okinawa. It fired on North Korea in the 1950s, and it actually fired on Iraq in 1991. The battleship has seen some history, and it's our job, it's our privilege to interpret that ship. Our job is to sort of convey to our guests that that battleship hasn't always been that silent, hasn't always been that quiet. There were thousands of men who risked their lives. That battleship has not always sat in downtown Norfolk. It was sailing around the world. That's our mission. But we've got to do it in an engaging, compelling, interesting way. We've got a motto around here that says, "Don't be afraid of fun." There's nothing wrong with fun. And a lot of museums out there, I think, sort of shy away from that word fun. But we want to be engaging. We want to tell some very educational stories. But we also want to be compelling. We're not just competing with other museums in this region. We're competing with Disney and Vegas and New York and all of these other experiences. So as we go forward, moving forward, our plan for that battleship, I can tell you we're not talking a lot about mannequins and text panels. Every ship in the country is doing that. What we're talking about are holograms and new technology and iPads that tell the story. So perhaps if you go in the engine room in years to come, it's not perhaps a teenager telling you a story. It's a real sailor who served aboard that ship, who worked in that space, who's telling you the story firsthand. These are the stories that we can tell. That's our job. and that's our privilege. We're also looking at large-scale simulation experiences. Why can't you be on the fantail of that ship and feel like you're under fire? Why can't you feel like you're out in the middle of the Pacific? There's technologies to let you do that. There's innovations to let you do that. Those are the kinds of things we're thinking about. We're thinking about the navigation bridge. I can tell you that the best view, in my opinion, of downtown Norfolk is on that bridge, looking across the road, looking across the street. But again, our goal is to convey that the ship hasn't always been here. So imagine if you were to hit a button, and instead of seeing downtown Norfolk, you see waves spraying all over, and the windows go opaque. And all of a sudden, you're in the middle of the Pacific, and you're actually firing on Iwo Jima. These are the kinds of technologies we're thinking about. So as we go forward with this icon, and I would argue it's just as iconic to the city of Norfolk as the Mermaid, we're not going to be asking ourselves, what's the Missouri doing, and what's the New Jersey doing, and what are the folks down in Wilmington with the battleship North Carolina doing? We're going to be saying, what are these guys doing? What would Disney do if they had this ship? What kind of compelling stories could they tell? How could they really make that ship come to life? Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about when we talk about the battleship and bringing it to life. Moving on the waterfront, I hope everybody in this room is as genuinely proud of this sailing program as Captain Kofer and I are. The truth is, the side of the boat says Sail Nauticus, but the mission of this program is to serve the underserved in this community. It's the reason we exist. And I can tell you it is one of the best reasons I can think of for getting up in the morning. It is an important mission, and we're proud of the work that's happening on this waterfront. This is our program. This is Norfolk's program. This is our community program. And it is unlike many in the country. And we're awfully proud of it. Nearly every single day, I walk down the street and someone will say, "Stephen, I saw the sailboats on the river. And they're gorgeous. I love the colors, and they really bring the waterfront to life. We love it. We love seeing it." And my response is always the same. That's great, and they're pretty and all, but come down to the dock. Wait till the boats come back and see the kids that are on these boats, and it will change your perspective. It is an important thing that we're doing, and we're so awfully proud of it. Words hardly express it. Right now we have 8 sailboats. On September 9th, they're going to be taking kids from Norfolk Public Schools out on the water. We're teaching them how to sail. We're teaching them how to do some really important things. And by the way, sailing is just one component of it. So there's 3 real areas of focus for our sailing program. There's the academy, or the after-school program, which is, again, the reason that we do this. There's our summer camp, which is a great mix of program kids and folks that just want their kids to have a great experience over the summer. And there's an adult program membership component to this, where anyone from the community can come down. If they know how to sail, they pass a certification class and they get on the river. If they don't, we'll teach them how to sail and they can get on the river. And this becomes very much a centerpiece for our waterfront. But I really do want to focus on the academy. I really want to focus on this after-school program because for us, it's awfully important. This is a partnership with Norfolk Public Schools. Last year, we had 86 graders start this program. 60% of them were Title I students. We brought them here. We partner with the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and so we have transportation provided. They come here, and we get these kids on the water. Every day, Monday through Thursday actually, from 3 to 7, they're on the water. And they're learning some amazing lessons. And they're having this great, wonderful experience after school. And it's really been great. Those 6th graders last year graduated earlier in June, on Father's Day actually. Many of them will come back to us as 7th graders this year. We have 80 more 6th graders that are coming back this year. And then next year will be the first year where the whole thing comes to fruition, where we actually have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders constantly rotating throughout this program. And rather than me going on and on, I've got one very quick video I wanted to show you just to give you a sense of what's happening down here after school from September to June. as you can see, what we do in the off-season, or rather in the colder months, is when we can't get on the water, we partner with the Southside Aquatic Center, and these kids are in the water learning how to swim. You also saw in the video, you also see that we have a STEM-related curriculum. So we're teaching math skills and science skills and other things. The main thing for us, though, ladies and gentlemen, as you look at these kids, is remember that sailing is just the vehicle. It's just the vehicle. What we're really teaching is leadership. What we're really teaching is teamwork. We're hopefully building confidence, and that's happening here. By the way, I should also point out that each of these kids get a health and PE credit for this. Our goal ultimately is to have a science credit and to have a math credit and to really build this program so that it becomes a staple and it helps bolster our public school system. So by the end of June 2015, we'll have had nearly 200 kids go through this program every day after school. And it's proving to be truly impactful. Our summer camp program just wound down last week. Over the first 2 years, I think we can say it's been a success. We had over 450 campers last year and this year. The summer camp is a great program in which we take kids, we partner with great organizations like Horizons Hampton Roads, Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. We partner with the YMCA, and we put those kids within those programs on the same boats with other kids in our open enrollment program. And at the end of the day, they're just kids, they're just campers in a boat trying to figure it all out. And it's truly been one of those sort of magical moments. There is 3 tiers to our summer camp program. So our hope is that the folks that came through, the campers that came through this year will come back next year and maybe take a more advanced course, and they'll come back the year after. So the summer camp is another important part of this. And that's just a quick snapshot of our summer program. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about cruise ships. We're in the Half Moon Cruise and Celebration Center after all. Of course, earlier this year, Carnival announced that they'd be coming back, which was certainly welcome news. I should tell you that from an industry standpoint, nothing has really changed. When it comes to how cruise lines make their decisions on where they're going, what their itinerary decisions are going to be, as we know, there are 3 main factors. Number 1, the per ticket yield. How much can they make per passenger to get on that ship? Number 2, the onboard revenue that they make from that passenger in the gift shop and casino and the bars and the lounges and the shore excursions. And number 3, they factor in the fuel cost. And as cruise lines around the world have really been factoring those 3 major decisions, you've seen some fairly significant shifts, not just in Norfolk, truly not just in Norfolk, but really all around the country. So what you've seen is a very transient industry on the move. So for the first time ever, you see a lot of American industry deployment in Europe, which is a huge, huge hot spot right now. You're seeing a lot of American cruise lines going to Australia. You're seeing a lot of American cruise lines going to Asia. And obviously, as those assets go to other countries at different parts of the year, there's less assets here for the United States. Obviously, North America will always be a major hub, the major hub for cruise industry growth. But it's important to keep sort of a macro eye on what the industry is doing. Carnival coming back, though, is not insignificant. What that represents for us is an industry or a cruise line that's got confidence in our market. Truth of the matter is, they would not be coming here if they didn't think they could fill that ship. And that's a good sign for us moving forward. Our goal is to help them in every way possible, to make sure they fill that ship, to make sure we can help them get out the word, so that over the course of the years to come, we can grow the program and get more and more cruise ships here. But I think the one thing, if I could leave you with today, is that it seems to me last year, the thing that got lost in the conversation, the thing that sort of fell to the wayside, was that all cruise ship calls are not equal. Carnival coming here is important. It's an important scenario. Basically what that means is guests from Norfolk and Hampton Roads and the Mid-Atlantic, in fact, will come here They'll bring their families. They've got their luggage. They've got the 2.5 kids. They come here. They go through security. They get on a ship, and they sail off to the Bahamas or Bermuda. That's an important scenario, and one that we're going to continue to focus on. But another scenario that I feel like was barely mentioned in the conversation was the stopover conversation, the port of call conversation. And that's where a ship maybe starts out in Lauderdale and perhaps is going to New York, and it stops in town for the day. Well, these are real cruise ship passengers. They're real people. This is a real cruise ship, sometimes 3,000 passengers large, and they're coming to our city. They're spending their money, and they're adding to the economic activity of this region. And I feel so passionately that, we've got 9 of those calls coming up this fall. 9 of those. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have a cruise ship, and those folks will come here. And so I really believe we're missing the boat, no pun intended, if we don't reach out and give those passengers the welcome that they deserve. And as a community, begin to talk about how important that scenario is to growing this cruise ship program. Again, a very quick video that I just wanted you to see. Importantly, I want you to know that the passengers in this video are not Carnival Cruise Line passengers. They're not Homeport passengers. These folks came for the day to spend their money in our town.
My name is Dolores Comiskey. I'm from Lincoln, California. I'm looking for a hat for my husband who's in the Navy.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hughes. I'm from Queens, New York. I'm here with my high school friend. I used to be stationed here at Naval Amphibious Base in Little Creek over 33 years ago.
I come from Hannover, Germany, and I'm here on a cruise. It's our honeymoon.
Norfolk looks like a beautiful town. It's warm. We're excited to be here. Your son is in the Navy.
Just walking around, taking all the pictures I can take.
Certainly whenever we have stopovers, I mean, the amount of pedestrian activity that you see on the street is phenomenal. People walking around with shopping bags, with cameras, taking pictures of our downtown. It's great.
When the cruise ships are in, we're literally a couple hundred yards from the cruise terminal Nauticus. And our business generally jumps 10 to 20% on the days that the cruise lines are in. As you can see, we're pretty crowded right now.
They come here and they're so thrilled. They love it. They have no idea everything that we have to offer. And from an international perspective, to go see Jamestown, Yorktown, Colonial Williamsburg, the world's largest naval base, which is right here in Norfolk, people are they're thrilled and they're pleasantly surprised at what a wonderful area we have to offer. And they want to come back.
We want to go to this Freemason History District, and of course we want to go shopping in this MacArthur Center.
The first time in Virginia, and we are planning shopping today and visit the USS Wisconsin.
Ms. Daryl Nozak, I'm a guide for Phillips Stores, and today I've got a group from the Emerald Princess going to Williamsburg. We're going to walk up and down through the Gloucester Street for about an hour and a half, look at everything.
We hear comments over and over and over again from international guests how they had no idea Norfolk was as pretty and charming as it is.
What's great about downtown Norfolk is it's not all chains. We've got a lot of great little places that most people wouldn't necessarily see anywhere else. And we get to see a whole new demographic of people.
Anything that we can do as a downtown or a city that increases the visitation to downtown is a good thing, and the cruise business increases visitation to downtown. So it's good economically for everyone.
Time and time again, the ship's staff and the ship's passengers have all told us, we love Norfolk. We want to keep coming back here.
Nine of those cruise ship calls this fall. 9 of them. And we'll have more next spring, long before Carnival returns. As some of you may know, in a former life, I was a cruise director with Carnival Cruise Lines, and I lived on those things for years. And I can tell you, as a port, you can't beat Norfolk with a stick. You just can't beat it. You just simply can't beat it. About a third of those passengers might go to Williamsburg. They might go to Jamestown, but 2/3 of them will be right here. They'll be inside Nauticus. They'll be at the Chrysler. They'll be in our community. Hopefully, they'll be at MacArthur Center, and enjoying what we've got to offer. And so that's really, for us, it's a strategy moving forward. How do we grow the port of call business? It's an important strategy. If you look at a port like Boston, for instance, Boston's a fairly well-known cruise port. If you really dig into the numbers, they've got just as many port of call stops as they do home port stops. That's not a bad strategy to go after, especially when you have a downtown so close and so walkable.
What's the difference between a port of call and a home port?
So a home port is when my wife and daughter and I go to maybe Port Canaveral, and we take our bags and we hop on the ship and we go off to the Bahamas, or we go off to an itinerary. The stopover is when we're the Bahamas all of a sudden. The stopover is when maybe that same family starts out in Fort Lauderdale. It stops in town for the day. The beauty of a stopover call is you've got 8 hours. You're not burdened or sort of tethered to your luggage. You're not worried about security and customs and immigration. You don't have all those things on your mind. And so you're sort of freed up to really experience the place that you're going. And again, we've just got a great product here. We should always remember that. We should always be proud of that, regardless of Carnival Cruise Lines. And obviously, part of our strategy is to increase that home port activity. But these ships are not insignificant. These ships aren't insignificant. So moving forward is the title of the presentation. What are our plans? You will continue to see us increasing our waterfront presence. We want to get our guests on the water. We want to get kids on the water. We want to be a part of the conversation and sort of the grand waterfront plan for Norfolk. We want to be a part of that. Not only because it's a no-brainer, the site that we're sitting on, but because it's part of our mission. We have sort of a water-based mission. We want to tell the story of the Navy. We want to tell the story of the commerce that you see down this river every single day. And we want to talk about the environment some. And so we will continue to try to position ourselves to be a true waterfront attraction and museum. We also want to be a part and continue to be a part of the conversation about downtown Norfolk. We have such a great product here, and I know obviously I'm preaching to the choir, but as the Main comes online, and as Waterside comes online, and certainly as Slover comes online, we want to complement that product. We want to be a part of that conversation, and so we'll continue to find ways to try to do that. And lastly, probably most importantly to me, this is something that we talk about here probably every single day. We want to re-engage with our community. We want to redefine ourselves with this community. And we want to reintroduce ourselves to this community. As I said, there are people that live 2 miles away that probably hadn't been here in 10 years. And they think they have an idea of what's happening, but they don't know half of what you've already seen in this presentation. We want to engage those folks. We want them to embrace this organization. It's theirs. We want them to be as proud of it as we are. And so you'll continue to see us making strides. And I'll give you one very quick example that's going to be happening very soon. Over the course of the last few months, I've been talking to the director of the Children's Museum over in Portsmouth. And I've talked to a lot of museum directors all around the region about how we can collaboratively partner. And the conversations were great, and we began to think about the synergy of the river and how we can play on the river. And we're two communities, and we're both very proud of our communities. And how can we partner together? And our sights began to be directed towards the fall, and what could we do this fall? And the conversation began to be directed towards Keene, New Hampshire. And I don't know if you all know anything about this, but in Keene, New Hampshire, they have a fall festival, a pumpkin festival, if you will. And it's nothing more than families getting together, as a family, carving pumpkins, bringing them down to a community area, community spot, and they light them up at night. And it's in some ways galvanized this little community to the point where every year they try to exceed what they did the year before. And it's grown into this big thing. So as you can imagine, folks come there, from, especially during political season in November. They want to be there in Keene to get their picture taken and all those kinds of things. It's become a real sort of centerpiece for this community and a source of pride for the community. And so Nancy over at the Children's Museum and I began to think about, well, what if we weren't just talking about what's good for Nauticus in the Children's Museum? What if we used our resources and used our sites and used our creativity to be a catalyst for what's good for our community? And so we came up with this idea, which we will be launching this year, which is called the Great Pumpkin Challenge. 2 great cities, 1 great challenge. And it's pretty simple. We're going to reach out to our residents, hopefully with Lori's help and Bob's help and other folks in the community. And we're going to say, get together as a family and carve a pumpkin. Or get together as a school class and carve a pumpkin. And just bring it down to Nauticus. And we'll pick your pumpkin up and we'll set it out on the walkway around the Battleship, Wisconsin. And we'll light them up for 2 nights, the weekend before Halloween. And it will be just a public art display. But you're a part of the project. You can contribute a verse to the play. And that's our goal. And of course, Portsmouth is going to be doing the same thing. But I feel like this faux contest might help us as a community sort of, it might just bring families together, and it might just bring them, get them to carve a pumpkin and have a great night together and bring it down. Now, the truth is it won't bring 1 dime to Nauticus, and that's not the goal. Probably won't bring 1 dime to the Children's Museum, and that's not the goal. The goal is to start a new tradition and to use our site and our resources and our creativity to do something for this community. And that'll be happening in October. So the other thing I'd like to tell you about is what's happening as we speak right down below us. And Captain Kofer mentioned this earlier. And this is something that, we've been thinking about for years. But how can we re-engage our community over the holidays? The truth is, probably 70% of our visitation comes between Memorial Day and Labor Day. How can we reach out to our own community, have them come down and experience something different at Nauticus? And so we're creating a new tradition at Nauticus and down below called Dickens Christmas Town. It's a partnership between us and the stage company. And so on November the 21st, guests will be able to come across that lower level bridge right below us and walk into this amazing Victorian 13,000 square foot holiday village. It is immersive, it is huge, and it's going to be fun. They'll be greeted by carolers. We'll have actors walking around the streets. There'll be merchants. There'll be food. There'll be popcorn, and there'll be vendors. We'll have activities for kids. We'll have tea rooms. We'll have all of those kinds of things. And in my mind, it was, how can we create that? I grew up in North Carolina, but we always came to Coleman's Nursery. We always came to Coleman's and had this great experience. How can we create a new tradition in downtown Norfolk, not unlike the Grand Illumination Parade? So that's happening on November the 21st. I'm also excited to tell you that to kick this whole thing off, we have Charles Dickens's great-great-grandson who is coming over to kind of cut the ribbon for us, which is pretty exciting for me. And obviously not to you, but I'm very excited. He's going to be coming over and kicking this whole thing off. 2 goals for this project, just 2. Number 1, it must not be a one-hit wonder. We have to start a tradition. It has to be a tradition for this community. And number 2, we have to keep our ticket prices, our admission prices, at a level where every person, every family in this community can afford to come. And so we've still got some work to do to raise the monies to make sure that happens. But we're committed to keeping that ticket price low. So imagine a Busch Gardens kind of experience, but for $5 for adults and $4 for kids. Those are the kinds of things we want to do. You'll realize that I didn't say that we're trying to make $100,000 on this. That's not our goal. We're not putting a revenue projection on this. We simply want to create a new tradition, and we want to make sure that everyone in this community has a chance to come down and experience it. So those are the kinds of things, two very concrete, tangible things that we're trying to do in this to re-engage our community. And lastly, this is the last slide. We are lucky in this community to have not just Nauticus, but to have some wonderful attractions, aquariums and zoos. We've got the greatest zoo, in my opinion, in the country, all right here in our backyard. And our goal, our conversation that we're having internally is, how can we learn from these organizations? What are some of the things that they're doing well that we can learn from? And if you ask the directors of all of these attractions to come in here, I guarantee you, every one of those directors would tell you that their organization runs a little bit differently. And like Nauticus, a lot of these organizations have a very symbiotic partnership between the foundation, the board of directors, and the city. And that's an incredibly important partnership for them. But the guests that are in Nauticus right now could absolutely care less about the symbiotic partnership between the foundation and the city. What they want is a great experience in downtown Norfolk, and it's our job to give it to them. And so as we begin to talk to some of these other organizations, we're going to be asking ourselves, how can this partnership work perhaps more beneficially? How can we leverage both assets to really create a better product? I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of these folks would probably tell you that, they could not do it without the support of their city, the partnership of the city, the support of the city. But perhaps because of the way their foundation is structured, they have an opportunity to be more entrepreneurial and more businesslike, and to be able to look at things perhaps a little bit differently. And that's also contributed to their success. So we want to get the mix right. We want to get the ingredients right. And we want to look at that, really look at that dynamic, and see how we can make this museum and this organization and this campus better and an asset for downtown Norfolk for years and years to come. So the real question is, what organizational model works best for Nauticus? We'll begin to have that dialogue. We'll begin to have that conversation. The goal is it must be a win-win for everyone, and it has to contribute to the overall product so that we're continuing to bring people down here and that we're an economic catalyst for downtown Norfolk. So if I could leave you with two things today, number one, we're moving forward. We're charging ahead with enthusiasm and excitement. And number two, we're making no small plans. So with that, do y'all have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I know that this past budget sequence, we, Marcus, and if you could help me out on this, I know that we had looked at state funding when it came to marketing of Nauticus and this campus. Where are we on that?
We continue to look at that two ways. One is not just the campus, but also what we can do in terms of the cruise ships.
Right.
So we definitely are going to have an ask in with this governor's budget.
With the
yes.
state,
yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right, because I can, and then the other aspect was parking. One of the complaints, I mean, I'm in downtown every day and spend most of my day in downtown. And one of the big complaints that I hear is the parking issue when it comes to, and if I use the wrong term, forgive me, the home porting, those that leave here, not just as for the day destination, but those that leave from Norfolk and return to Norfolk. And that seems to be a very big complaint. Part of it deals with their parking, or in the past, the parking has been out at Cedar Grove, and I don't think that is, and Stephen, you know better than I do, I don't think that's well received. Have we looked at that for the upcoming new Carnival cruises that are coming in to be able to deal with that parking situation and make it a better experience instead of having people park at Cedar Grove?
We have, and I would say that, it's one of the, that we're not unlike some other ports in that we're right in the middle of a downtown. and obviously there's some operational challenges to doing that. Seattle's another one, New Orleans. And so the question is, how do we, in my opinion, how do we make the best of that situation? To some extent, having off-site parking at Cedar Grove is actually a real help. It keeps some of that traffic away from our, you can imagine an embarkation that starts early in the morning, and we've got our downtown commuters coming through. But the real question, and the point that I think we need to take home, is how do we make the experience better? How can we make the experience out of that lot better? And so we are looking at that. Easy ways, like having more people out there to say welcome, to sort of greet you there. Remember, it's also off the interstate, which makes it relatively easy for our folks coming in, for our guests. But increasing our buses so that, you know, we double up on the buses so you don't have to wait out there as long. The commute from the parking lot here is not so bad. It's really not. We actually even have videos on board, and we do a Norfolk video. But how do we make that process better? And then I think parallel to that, we do need to look at other avenues. I know we've talked in the past about perhaps using the mall or using some other scenarios downtown that might make some sense. I would say that if we can make Cedar Grove work and make it a convenience and make it a very positive first impression, I don't think that's a bad plan moving forward. I really don't.
As I said, you know better than I do because you deal with the people every day. Also, Nauticus is an IMAX theater, is it not?
No, we have a 3D theater. So it's not IMAX.
Okay. That's the only questions I have. Thanks.
But we could make it an IMAX, right? I mean, it's just a question of money, Andy, and that's all. So, we've always wanted to make it an IMAX. That's a great point. So, any other questions for Stephen? Comments?
No, no question, just comment. You look like you love what you do. I mean,
I
it
do.
really just, I always say that when you have people who love what they do a really good job.
I'm a lucky guy.
And it just oozes through in the presentation. You really look like you enjoy what you do. So I think that the plans that you have, you know, going forward will really be great. And I like the idea of making Nauticus a location that's not just for visitors, but that also includes the community as well. Because there are a lot of people who go, Nauticus what? And they don't have a clue what it is. But your enthusiasm just oozes out.
Thank you.
Stephen, that was a great presentation. The video on the sailing program, first time I've seen that, I thought that was really special as well. So thanks for what you're doing over here. I want to thank Bill Kofer and the board too as well for their constant engagement in this and giving you a sort of an outside perspective on it as well. So thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks for having us over here today. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Are we ready? Okay, and if you got things to do, we're going to talk about the library. So the Slover Library. And Ron's going to make the presentation. So thanks, Bill. Thanks a whole lot. Thanks for driving this thing as well as you have. Okay. Thank you all.
Mayor?
Yeah, just 1 second. Did we lose Andy or did he just step out with us? Look, I hope you're going to be able to take this tour. You're going to be so proud of this facility. I promise you. And if you're not wowed, I'm just, nothing's going to wow you because this is really spectacular stuff here. So we can talk a little bit about how we got to where we are here and then after the presentation. But and if you can't make it today, we can arrange at some other point because you absolutely are going to be thrilled with what you see over there and be very proud of the community. Okay, Ron.
Yes, sir. And if you can't, just let me know, and the team will coordinate that for you. Really, the leadership team, city manager Winter Benda. We've been in the construction phase, and that's about ready to end. And we're turning it over to Comtech with David Sullivan, our CIO. Kathy Grook remains the key project manager. Construction project manager Randy Thompson is ready to receive the keys in about a month. And really, so what is it that we have here? We have the Slover is going to be a center for civic engagement, community learning, and leading edge technology. And really the only way to some degree to experience that is to get in and see that. And so we're going to schedule sometime this fall as we roll out the technology and enveloped in the building. Let David Sullivan give you an opportunity to see that. We do have some of it on the Preview Center, which is on Main Street right next to Schlotsky's. We're open every day from 11 to 1. And that's under the direction of the libraries. Sonal Rastogi, the library director, will be key, heavily engaged this fall as we continue to transition from the Preview Center, where you can see some of the interactive technology, to actually the Slover. It's 138,000 square feet. Combining two historic structures with the new structure. What we often refer to the historic seaboards, the seaboard side, and then the new structure as the Slover side. What you see here when you enter is the Popular Collection Library, and then what you see out on Plume Street now is an area where we'll have a bistro, cafe, outdoor dining. This is your main entrance. This forum, as we call it, is really the public space, a key public space for the building. This is the children's collection, and then the popular collections are up above. Really today we just want to give you a progress report where we are. Construction will substantially wrap up within the next month. We do have possession of the Seaboard building. There's actually furniture in there. We're starting to deploy some of the technology in the next couple weeks. And then you'll see that if you see it at nighttime, you can see that the upper floors of the Slover are actually complete. Floors 4, 5, and 6. You can see the carpet, you can see the nice wood veneers in there, and it's starting to march down as they finish in the public forum and the bistro area over the next month. David's team is going to be in earnest in there really over the next 60 to 90 days of installing the technology and getting it up and running. And again, really one of the best ways to experience that is to actually touch it, feel it, see it. So we'll keep you waiting on that one. Furniture is starting to roll in on a weekly basis now. And then the collections. The Sargent Memorial Collection is one key piece of this. And that will actually close at the Pretlow Library and start to transition over in September. And then existing and new books will start to come in throughout September and October. We're still on target for the opening that we scheduled, which is January. And what's being contemplated, that Winter is managing the team that's set up this weekend that has a theme to it. It starts on Thursday and continues through Sunday. A day of thank you, a welcome day, a celebrate day, and then a history and art day, because so much of what's enveloped in the library is about history. Some of the highlights, again, what you see here, the bistro that you can really see that's coming to light out there on Plume Street. The sidewalk has been completed on the side. We're making some pedestrian calming adjustments on the other side of Plume Street that you can see right now. And the children's collection up here on the second floor is really going to be great because there's that interaction with the city that you see in the windows there. And then this area here is actually an outdoor area. So we'll see that soon. This is the type of technology. It's interactive. It's digital technology that we'll see deployed throughout the spaces. The children's library will be very interactive for children, and it'll also be very secure. It's going to have this kind of cordoned off area so that anyone coming in and out of there are eyes on the visitors and eyes on the children in the area. But what's most, I think, exciting for anybody who's a fan of architecture is just how the adaptive reuse of this historic structure in the Seaboard, but particularly in here where you'll have 2 floors of the Sargent Memorial Collection that will actually be digitized, and you can interact with that, and interactive technology juxtaposed against the historic architecture, and the preservation that has happened to this building is amazing. The public spaces, this is a glimpse of the 6th floor, the community engagement room, where we can have 250 person seated event or 100 person seated table event. And then just all throughout the building, the amazing architecture. Public spaces are a key part of it. The bistro, we actually will have Cuisine & Company as the operator. That will also be the caterer in the facility. So that's just an update on where we stand today, and what you'll really see come September is lights on and a lot of people in the building, building up towards that January opening. So.
one other thing I want to comment about. Up on the very top floor, Ron mentioned there's a community room. The community room will seat about 250 people for a lecture. It'll seat about 100 folks for a dinner, a couple hundred for a reception. There's a warming kitchen up there, a fairly self-contained room where special events can occur. The Slover Library Foundation, which was the vehicle that was put together to raise money for the restoration and for the building of the Slover, has engaged a president. His name is,
Has engaged
the Slover Library Foundation now has a new president, and that is Harry Lester. Okay, and Harry will also be the director. He will be a paid employee of the foundation. His goal will be to present 3 or 4 community forums. One of our goals is community engagement during the course of the year, where the community can come together and talk about things that are important, whether it's transportation or flooding, or whether it's poverty, or whether it's the military, or anything you want to talk about. He will help create a marketing plan. The foundation will and pay for it. For the museum, a sort of a branding, not museum, for the library, a branding. Like I said, he'll have maybe a literary festival, authors, community dialogues, a place where community discussion can occur. It can be a regional asset. It can be for the citizens of Norfolk. I mean, it's really, it's going to be of course, the manager has a full-time librarian in there who is first class, who would be running the library on a day-to-day basis. But the foundation, as it has raised money, has accumulated enough funds now to hire Harry as a director. As you know, Harry was the former president of the medical school, and he has just started, and he will help plan the opening day events as well. But he has managed to keep a number of people as engaged in the program, as well as Mrs. Batten was very much encouraged him to take the position, and so Harry will also help raise the profile of this library, which I think will receive statewide and national attention. And when you go in there today, I think you'll agree that it is a very special place for our friends in here who really appreciate a renovation of historic buildings. There won't be anything like this anywhere, I think, in the Commonwealth. I mean, it is spectacular. So, and we originally were going to open in November, but the foundation has engaged a speaker that evening for the gala, and we didn't want to rush into an opening and maybe get caught up into it, maybe in the holidays, and so we thought it might take a little more time, make sure if we're going to pay some money for a speaker, and this is you'll be very impressed with who the speaker is, that we wanted to make sure everything was right, everything was finished. We got through the holidays, and so the gala is on January the 8th, then the ribbon cutting on the 9th, and then a lot of community events around all of that, and that seems about, and Winter and the manager and the staff have been very engaged in this too. I want to congratulate everybody's been involved in this, the architects, the builders, everything. This is one of those projects that sometimes things go well, sometimes they don't go quite so well. This has gone very well. Any questions? Yeah.
And you may have been in when I stepped out on the phone call, but Ron, is there going to be a connecting type of indoor walkway between, you may have said it and I apologize, between the Slover and the Dart Center?
In the bistro area, they're right here.
Yes, that's where I'm saying.
There's actually that Selden portion where the Archer Western office is right here, right now.
Okay.
So the bistro will extend out of the Popular Collection down here into the Seaboard, and then that opens into the Dart Center.
So it'll be one flowing area, so you
Correct.
can go from the Dart Center into it without stepping outside.
Mm-hmm.
And will that be available even if the restaurant or the cafeteria is not open?
Their hours will align with the
Their hours will
library.
align.
Yes.
So let's say it's 4 o'clock and they're not serving meals, I take it, would they be? Would you still be able to go from the Dart Center into the Slover?
We haven't contemplated that you not be able to.
And it's really, Andy, it's not really a restaurant. I mean, they're not preparing food there. They'll have coffee, prepared food rather,
Right.
but it's not really hot meals they're serving.
And there's no closure from the library. The only closure is right here in the Selden portion. Otherwise, it's free flowing.
All right, and then is there a connection over into the new, the main?
The main, there is planned connection, yes.
On the other side of the Dart Center?
Correct.
Okay, that's what, thank you.
Yeah, that's integral to all those projects to tie together. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and if anybody's curious, we're still raising money. And that, part of Harry's job will also be to raise money as well.
And failed to mention, and this city attorney was very instrumental in helping with the tax credits that were received for this project, upwards of $3 million. And the state, we believe, is going to be, very proud that they were participants in this project.
And let me also say about the foundation, the goal is that the foundation will spin off several $100,000s a year, which will go directly towards refreshing the technology in the Slover. It's also going to help pay for these events, But its main mission is to maintain the technology which has been incorporated into the library. It's fairly sophisticated stuff. I guess David would tell you it has a turnover of maybe 24 months or something like that by the time the stuff needs to be refreshed. So we'll have a constant source, a revenue source to go to, and not have to go to the city general fund or take it out of the rest of the library funds. So that we have a foundation which will keep the technology fresh, will buy the new stuff. Mr. Batten, Frank Jr. has set aside a couple $1 million already over at the Community Foundation outside of the Slover Foundation, which is for the sole purpose of the use for technology in the library, and that's got about 2.7 and 2.7 million in there right now. So, I mean, it's the biggest win-win-win around. You got people giving you money. Jane and Frank gave us $40 million. I mean, the foundation put, I think, about $43 million into the construction, but over and above that, there will be another $8-10 million that will spin off money that will pay for the programming we talked about, but also for the technology, which was the goal of Mr. Batten all along. And so the city will not have to reach into the community. The technology will be paid for.
And again, going back to the marketing side of it, it's great, but if we're the only ones who know about it, I take it, are there certain plans that we would be able to find a periodical such as Coastal Living or Southern Living or whatever other periodicals that exist that this type of a new library building technology will be marketed and you'll have people from out of town as a draw? Am I correct? That's
the foundation has engaged a marketing firm already to start preparing the materials and all that. Andy, they have given a lot. That's exactly right.
Excellent.
Will the funds for
The same people. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Will the funds for the technology, will that spill over into other new libraries that are built, or is that solely for the Slover?
It's for the Slover, dedicated for the Slover. The city should pay for the rest of that, for another branch library.
Okay.
Do we have a new library director?
We don't.
Sol has been library director for all of our libraries.
Yeah.
Sol.
Do you know Sonal, Terry? Do you know Sonal? She was the number 2 person over there for a long time, but she's been stuck. So, okay.
Mr. Mayor, after hearing about 2 really fun and iconic programs, I apologize for sort of diving down into the weeds and talking about a zoning matter. This is a request for rezoning in the Estabrook neighborhood. The property is located south of Lafayette Boulevard and is on the west side of Overbrook Avenue. The piece of property, the proposal is to divide this piece of property or to rezone this piece of property to allow it to be divided into two buildable lots. It currently has two parcels, but this is an unbuildable one because it's under same ownership, and the proposal it's 87 feet, and the idea is to be allowed to divide into 40-foot lots as opposed to the 50 that are required. I'll mention that while the application talks about two lots and constructing two houses, one house has already been constructed on the northern portion of this piece of property in anticipation that the rezoning would be approved. Plan Norfolk has recommended. Pardon?
How do you build a house before the zoning was approved?
So the larger piece there is in fact a buildable lot, and the two together clearly are a buildable lot. And so they were able to pull one building permit. What the developer did was built it all the way right at the northern side of the property in anticipation that the rezoning would occur, and then this line essentially would be shifted up to the midpoint and allowing a second home to be built in this area. Plan Norfolk, the proposal is inconsistent with Plan Norfolk. This is an area that is designated as single-family traditional and talks about lots in the 50 to 70-foot range. The proposed 43-foot lot does not comply with that. As we always do in this kind of application, we do a lot analysis, and so we look at lots in two ways. The first is by looking at the block face itself, and then the second is to look within a 1,000-foot radius. And as you may recall, we've talked in the past that if you start seeing 30 to 40 to 50% of the lots not being within the pattern suggested by the comprehensive plan, that may well be an indication of a neighborhood in transition. However, in this case, you'll notice that yellow is a lot that conforms with the current Plan Norfolk designation. Blue is a lot that would be smaller than that. And as you notice, the lotting patterns here, clearly the conforming size is the predominant pattern. In fact, it is in 86% or 87%, depending on how you look at it. The applicant did proffer a condition to, actually the proffered condition says they're going to have both houses go through the design review process. However, since one house has already been built, that ship has kind of sailed. So the proffer would be that the one remaining house would go through the plan review process. That's the administrative one that's dealt with as a small lot process. Planning Commission voted 1 to 5 against this. The staff had recommended against it because of inconsistency with the plan as well as the inconsistency with the pattern of development. Planning Commission, 5 members, felt the same way. The one person who voted in favor believes that we do need to encourage infill development in the city. However, as I said, the vote was 1 to 5. You are going to see this application next week, along with all of the other applications from the July Planning Commission meeting. This is the only one where there was as much as 1 negative vote.
Who was it?
Well, in this case, it was only 1 positive vote, and that was Mr. Hales. All the other, the 5 votes were all negative.
The neighborhood wants the development. That's missing from this. The neighborhood has met twice and with the developer, and they also came to the Planning Commission hearing as well. And the difference in the lot size is not extreme. It's not visible. It's not like you have huge lots and then you've got these 2 smaller lots. As it pertains to the houses being built, it is being built under the current zoning requirements. So to say that the house was built in anticipation of the zoning approval is a little unfair, because the house could have been built regardless to whether or not whether they get the approval or not. The house is in compliance with the way that the lot is currently zoned. But the neighborhood was very, very heavily in favor of the downzoning of the property.
Do you have pictures of the street view pictures of the area? I mean, I'm sure we could Google Earth it and pull it up. No, I'm talking about as I look at it.
No, we do not, do not, no, sir.
That would help. Okay. Is that perhaps you could, I mean, I can Google Earth it and find it, don't worry about it.
I think it's a little better than what we consider as infill housing, that it still sits within the community, the makeup, and that the residents aren't too concerned that it's taken away from their community.
And they're not concerned about the density either. They want home ownership, they want more homeowners, so it brings more stability to the community as well. So they like it.
Sounds like you all know.
I spent a lot of time on the phone with them.
Who's the developer?
Bobby Feynman, who did Glen Rock, who's doing Glen Rock.
So both of you are in favor of it, is that what I'm hearing?
But I don't see an issue with it from a neighborhood perspective, and the neighborhood likes it. They really like it, and they want it.
And that being said, I appreciate the way planning has looked at it from their perspective. But then again, I mean, it takes that, and that's really how things work. That helps.
Was the neighborhood in favor of the general plan?
I didn't ask that question. I don't know.
It just seems like we do this work and all this work, and then we say, oh, well, never mind. It's troubling.
Okay, anything else there? George, is that it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, then we're going to go into, okay. Ready to go to into the closed meeting? Okay.
Move the members of council assemble in closed meeting on August 19, 2013 at 3:35 p.m. The purpose set out in clauses 3 and 7 of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and that is 3, the disposition of publicly owned real property in the area of Northampton Boulevard and Wesleyan Drive, and the acquisition of real property for public purpose in the Ward's Corner area of the city, and 7, consultation with legal counsel pertaining to 1 zoning and 1 land acquisition matter. Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Protogiero?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Ms. Williams? Mr. Wynn?
Aye.
Mr. Frame?